Hi guys, in this video, I'm going to start preparing for my first Ielts speaking exam, which is happening on February the 7th. So we're going to go through 4 part 1 topics together. And throughout that process, I'm going to teach you how I prepare vocabulary with my students, some of my structures that I teach to help them give smooth answers in part 1. And I'm also going to discuss the small differences in between preparing if you're a lower band student, like a 5 to a 6.5, and if you're a higher band student, like a 7, 7.5, going for a band 8 on your IELTS speaking exam. So there's going to be a lot of information in here for you to learn, a lot of great vocabulary, and a few good tools. So let's hop over to my computer and start preparing and practicing part 1 of the IELTS speaking exam. Okay, guys, so I registered for my IELTS speaking exam. I'm actually waiting for the confirmation, but it's supposed to be on February the 7th, so I'll check that with the school downtown after this video. We're going to start today by going over preparing vocab, and then we'll talk about scripting answers. This is something I recommend more for lower bands, like band 5.5 to band 6.5. That's not to say you can't benefit and learn from it if you're a higher band. I've had many band 7, 7.5s who have done this, and it helps them a lot because it helps them detect their weaknesses, their grammatical errors, and improve their vocab. So this is a step I always encourage lower bands, but if you're a higher band, there might be something for you to learn by doing that too. Then we're going to practice, and then we're going to review our practice, review our answers we recorded. So let's start off. I'm covering these 4 topics today, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find good vocabulary to help us stand out in this part of the exam. So what I always tell my students is try to find the keywords in the questions and see if you can paraphrase or reword them so you don't sound so repetitive when you're answering the questions. So let's go into this document, which I made for my students a long time ago. I made this document because it helps me stay organized and keep track of which topics I've asked my students in previous lessons so I don't waste time and ask them the same one in the next lesson. But for them, it's a great way to prepare the vocab. So for this first topic, social media, let's look. The keywords are what do people do on social media? Do your friends use social media? So we can paraphrase both those words. Do you think you spend too much time on social media? So we can maybe paraphrase too much time in social media again. When did you start using social media? I mean, you could paraphrase start. It's a simple word to paraphrase. But the main word here is really social media. So let's just go in here. And I always say, try to find 2 or 3 ways to paraphrase it. And some topical vocabulary. So social media is just going to be platforms like Instagram, TikTok, whatever, Facebook, or Meta, or whatever you want to call it, and other Little Red Book, stuff like that. And then other words in here, friends, I could say my buddies or people I hang out with. Start, I could say began, but that's as simple as it is. I'm just preparing some other words I can use so I don't constantly repeat social media in part 1 when I'm talking about that. Language. Let's look at that one. How are languages taught and learned in your school? So I guess taught and learned in your school. These are words that you could reword if you wanted to. How do you learn a foreign language? What languages, this should be would you like to learn in the future? Okay, so it's just learn in language. What languages can you speak? What kind of difficulties, we can paraphrase difficulties, would you have if you wanted to learn a new language? Okay, so in this one of the words was difficulties. I can paraphrase that with challenges. And then languages, I'm just going to talk about the languages. I'm going to try to avoid repeating it too much. So you can just say, okay, I want to learn Spanish or Japanese, or maybe you can say Romance languages, or you can talk about wanting to be a polyglot. Maybe you're interested in languages. So words related to the topic so you don't sound repetitive. And we do it again with relax. For me, it's pretty easy to do this because I do this with my students all the time, and I'm a native speaker, so my active vocabulary is probably a little bit wider than yours. For some students, this may take a little bit of time, but it's an important step. So do it. You know, it's worth the time. You'll sound better in your exam if you have more ways of expressing yourself around these topics. So are you a cool-headed person? This is an interesting question. I've never heard something like this in the IELTS exam. It just means, are you a relaxed person? So I can paraphrase cool-headed person. Do you often is a word we can always paraphrase. Feel relaxed. Does listening to music make you feel relaxed? And what kind of places or environments make you feel relaxed? So the main keyword here is relaxed. And there's always other little things you can paraphrase. So instead of relaxed, I can say calm, grounded, at peace. And there's lots of other ways to do it. I'm just going to go through this quickly because I want to show you also how we're going to practice scripting out our answers. Okay, so the last one is numbers, I believe. Let's look. Yeah, numbers. Do numbers matter to you? This is a weird one. Are you good at math? So this is kind of about numbers, math. You can paraphrase math, mathematics, arithmetic, whatever. Are you good at remembering phone numbers? What's your favorite? You can paraphrase favorite number. Okay, so numbers, not really a great paraphrase. I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm great with digits. It sounds kind of weird. Are you good at remembering? We can say memorizing. You could say, instead of good, you can say I'm proficient. So there's lots of other little words you can use. Let's just go look back at them again. Math, you can talk about different kinds of math in that one. So I could say like arithmetic or algebra or linear quadratics. You know, there's different kinds of math we can mention, be more specific. And then, do numbers matter to you? What's your favorite? The one I love the most? You know, there's very simple small paraphrases you can put in here and there. One I love the most, or the one that's closest to my heart. So I did it quite quickly. It might take you a little more time, but that's the first step, is preparing vocabulary. And then now we're going to do the next step. If you're a lower band, I really do recommend you script out your answers. The reason is that while you script out your answers, you will discover some of your grammatical weaknesses, inevitably. So doing this helps you improve your overall English. And doing this will help you see if you're using the same keywords all the time, and it'll force you to learn more vocabulary. So it's a very beneficial practice for you to grow your vocabulary and to perfect your English. Okay, so I am going to put up here just a few structures I use. Okay, and we'll go through them as I can use them. So the first one, I can use it right away. It's called listing. And this is very simple. In the first sentence, list 3 items. In the second one, in the second sentence, talk about one of them in detail. That's just how we do listing. So let's do an example. What do people often do on social media? Okay, they do a variety of things, ranging from checking the news, messaging friends and family members, as well as posting updates about their own lives. Okay, and then I'll talk about the one that's most pertinent to me. But for the most part, the average person, instead of saying people again, spends the bulk of their time just going back and forth with friends and family through messaging them online. Okay, so in the first sentence, I listed 3 things people do, and in the second one, I talked about the one that was easiest for me to mention. Let's go to the next question. Do your friends use social media? So I'm just going to say the first thing that comes to mind. Don't try to overthink a lot of these. Just give an extended answer. So I'm going to paraphrase friends. I'm going to say, sure. Most of my good friends, and yeah, I'm using friends again, but at least I'm defining it a little bit more, are pretty big on social media, like Facebook and Instagram. I'd say that since university, some of them have strayed away from it though, as it seems less important as when we were in our 20s. Okay, so I said good friends, and then I didn't constantly repeat social media. I mentioned it once, but then I mentioned different types of social media, so I don't sound as repetitive. Okay, next one. Do you spend too much time on social media? Here I'm gonna do what I call the flip-flop. So I'm gonna say my answer, and then I'm gonna give an exception to my answer that kind of contradicts it. So I'm gonna say, not at all. I'm barely on any social media platforms these days, as I try to limit my time online. I'm an online tutor and a day trader, so I don't want to stare at the screen. But unfortunately, and here's my exception, when I work on my own social media, I do have to spend an hour or two more than I want on there. Okay, so I don't like social media, but if I'm uploading social media, then I have to be on there kind of. Not that I'm browsing other people, but I am spending time on it one way. Okay, so that's what I call the flip-flop. I'll put the other structure here. This is called the flip-flop. So basically, in the first sentence, I say yes and give details. And then in the second sentence, I give an exception that contradicts what I just said. Okay, so I said yes, give details, and then I say, but there's one case in when that's not true, and then I say that. Okay, so those are two structures I use or I teach. The listing one is here. I'll just write it. And then the flip-flop one is number 3. And guys, if you want these resources, if you want to get this PDF and you can look at it after, feel free, so you can learn some of the vocabulary. Just send me a message if you're on Chinese social media. If you're on YouTube, I'll have a link where you can download it. And let's keep going. Let's do question number 4. So when did you start using social media? I'll just say the first thing that comes to mind. Way back in my uni days. First social media platform I joined was Facebook. I remember back then it was just for Ivy League university students, but now everyone and their mom is on it. And there you go. These days I'm on a few others too. Just to stretch out my answer a little bit, okay? So again, I'm always trying to use other words other than the keywords. I said back in my uni days, I didn't have to say start, I just said when it happened. And try to give an extended, detailed answer, like I did here. All right, so let's go on and do the next topic, languages. I just want to mention one thing I forgot when I did the first topic is an acronym, ABU30. I always tell this to my students just to remind them of a few things they can do to give a strong part 1 answer. A stands for answer directly. You only have about 20 to 30 seconds to answer these. So if you give a direct answer and you give details, you're safer. If you do an indirect answer where you say like your yes or no at the end of your question, maybe you'll get cut off and your answer will sound kind of incomplete. So I always say answer directly. B stands for be specific and detailed. So like give specific examples of what you're talking about. Don't just say I like chocolate. Tell them what kind and give them some detailed language why. And then U is what we're going to spend a lot of this video talking about. Use, paraphrasing, synonyms, and referencing. So you don't sound repetitive. And the last thing is just 30, which means speak for 20 to 30 seconds. So all your part 1 answers should more or less fulfill these criteria. So let's go to the next question. How are languages taught in your school? This is another great way to use one where you can use listen. I can say, oh, in a variety of ways. Through reading textbooks to giving oral presentations and receiving feedback from the teacher, and also by listening to radio or audio files. Okay, so I listed 3 things and I'll talk about the one which is most pertinent to me. But personally, I always loved listening to radio clips in my French class. I thought it was a more genuine way to pick up the language. And I said pick up instead of learn. Okay, so that's a nice paraphrase of, where did I say that? Here it is. Learn. And there you go. That's listing again. So I'm going to just say here, this one is listing. Okay, next question. How do you learn a foreign language? This one sounds weird. It's kind of like repetitive of the one we just did. So you could just more or less repurpose that answer. They're probably not going to ask you both of these, or you can just personally talk to them about what you like. So I would say, for me, personally, I enjoy listening to podcasts of people speaking about topics I'm into. For example, like a French podcast that is discussing comedy in the comedy world. I find it the most engaging way to pick up a language. Again, I'm going to paraphrase learn with pick up just to show off more vocabulary. And there it is. It's a long enough answer. It's going to be about 20 to 30 seconds. I'm paraphrasing some of the keywords. And let's go on. What languages would you like to learn in the future? Here I can use listing again. I can talk about several of them, or I can just talk about the one that I'm most interested in. So I'll do that. For me, it has to be Japanese. It's such an interesting language, and I'm really into their food culture and their comics. Although it's a little daunting because I know there's 2 alphabets and one of them basically incorporates Chinese characters. Okay, so I'm giving a really detailed answer. I'm saying why it's Japanese. I give lots of detail because of their culture, because of the comics. But then I talk about why it's daunting, which would be challenging. It's a nice word. Because of the alphabets. What languages can you speak? Okay, here I can do listing again because I speak several languages. If you don't speak several languages, you're probably not going to be able to do this, but let's just write listing. A few of them from Spanish to French, my native language English, and even a little Korean. But Spanish is the one I enjoyed learning the most. I had great teachers, and perhaps it was easier because I already had a base in French. So I really am a fan of the Spanish language. There you go. I did listing again. I hope you guys are quickly picking up how to do it. It's great because you're not memorizing an answer, but you are giving a structured answer in a simple way. And if you practice doing it over and over again, you're not going to make as many grammatical mistakes. Okay, next one. What kind of difficulties would you have if you want to learn a language? So for me, it's going to be grammar. So I'll just be straightforward and answer that. So I'll say for sure, the most challenging part is mastering grammatical rules and exceptions. And then I'll talk about it, give an example. For instance, in the French language, I always found it challenging understanding certain verb tenses, differentiating between masculine and feminine nouns and so on. Okay, so for me, it's grammar. That's the hardest part. That's the most challenging part. Paraphrasing the keywords if I can. So let's do two more. We're going to go on to the next topic, which is relax. So let's keep going. Are you a cool-headed person? So I'm going to use a different answer here, another structure. We're going to label it a conditional answer. It's pretty simple. All we do is give a condition and give some details, and then give another condition and more details. So you're just going to have like a two-sentence answer, and again, it's very simple. It's a nice, easy way to answer a question. So, are you a cool-headed person? I'm going to say it depends on my mood. No, I'll say it depends on the day. If I have a lot on my plate, work, trading, and tasks to do revolving around my kids, I can be quite temperamental. Okay, I can get upset easily. Okay, that's my first condition. However, if on the other hand, I don't have much going on that day, then I'm a very chill person. So I'm paraphrasing cool-headed. I'm saying a very chill person. It means I'm calm, I'm relaxed. And there you go. That's a conditional answer. So you give a condition, you say some details. You give another condition, you say other details. Simple way to answer a lot of part one questions. How often do you feel relaxed? Let's just say the first thing that comes to mind. And this is why I encourage you to like steal vocabulary from this video, from this document if you download it. But don't copy my answer because you're not me. It's not going to sound natural if you try to copy my answer. Say, when do you feel relaxed? Because for me, it's probably different than for you. So do you often feel relaxed? I'll say, yeah, for sure. Early on in the week, when my kids and when my kids go to school and my wife goes to work. It's always a relaxing time. And then almost every evening when there's no responsibilities left to take care of. So usually I'm in a good state at least once a day. I'm referring to like a relaxed state. I'm not saying I'm in a negative state if I'm not relaxed. Does listening to music make you feel relaxed? Again, so for something like this, I'll just give a straightforward, direct answer. I'll probably use a conditional answer here. So I'll say it really depends on the type of, it really depends on the tune, I'm going to paraphrase music I'm listening to. If it's some classical music or some kind of calm tune, then yeah, for sure. But on the other hand, if it's hard rock or rap or something, then it's probably not putting me in a relaxed state. Okay, so does it make me feel relaxed? It depends on the condition, which is why I gave a conditional answer. What kind of places or places or environments make you feel relaxed? Okay, so I can use listing here. It's a great one to do because there's a lot of different places or environments. So I'll say there's a ton of them, such as forests, mountains, or even calm environments like a library or a public park. So I listed a bunch of them, and then the second sentence I'll talk about one of them. But I've got to say, there's nothing more calming than being at the top of a mountain and looking down on peaceful scenery. It always puts me at ease. And I'm paraphrasing relaxed. I'm saying it puts me at ease. I'm saying it's calming. I'm saying peaceful. So I'm paraphrasing the key words as much as I can. Okay? So there we go. We've learned 3 structures now in this video. Listing, which I've given several examples of. Flip-flop, we've only done it once, I think. Conditional, we've given several conditional answers. So let's go through the last topic, numbers. This is an odd topic. I don't really like it very much, to be honest, but that's irrelevant. Do numbers matter to you? So I'm just going to give I guess I could use a conditional answer here. So let's try it. I'll say it depends on what I'm doing, I guess. If I'm taking care of my finances or I'm trading stocks, then yeah, they are crucial. However, outside of those, so that's my first condition, and then I'll give my second. So I'll say, however, if I'm doing things outside of those realms, then numbers are really quite irrelevant to me. I'm not proud of being great at math, and I don't really care about playing with numbers that much. Okay, so it's only important for me inside the realm of these 2 things. Other than that, I don't really care about it. You're good at math. Absolutely not. So, absolutely not. Man, did I struggle with all kinds of mathematic subjects in high school and beyond. High school and beyond is nice. I'm saying in high school, but also in college and university and any other area. Honestly, I'm so bad at it that it's impossible for me to help my daughter in high school. She's far surpassed me in her mathematics. Okay, so pretty straightforward answer. I make sure I extend my answer and give details. Do you usually use now? I've already answered this here. I say I use it with stocks and finances, and other than that, I don't really use it. So I'm not going to write an answer for this. Some of the questions are quite repetitive. They're most likely not going to ask you both of those. Are you good at remembering phone numbers? I'm just going to give a direct answer. I'm going to say, nope, not at all. Not only am I terrible at it, but it's irrelevant to me as my phone can store everyone and their mom's numbers. This is a nice little expression, everyone and their mom. It just means a lot of people. It doesn't actually mean their mom's phone numbers. I could probably do the flip-flop here. I think I will. So I said no, I'm not. But then I'm going to put a little exception. I'm going to talk about the past. Okay. So, but back in the day, when I was in elementary school, I was quite good at recalling many people's numbers. Okay, so I'm contradicting what I said. I say, no, I'm not good at it. I don't care about it. It's not necessary. But in the past, I was actually quite good at it. Okay, so that's the flip-flop strategy one more time. And the last part one question here, what's your favorite number? So I'll paraphrase favorite. I'm going to say the one that's closest to my heart is definitely number 17. For one thing, it's the address on my house, but I also wore that number on many of my jerseys back when I played hockey and soccer. It's kind of a lucky number for me. Okay, so I paraphrased favorite number closest to my heart. And there you go, guys. That's basically how I script out answers for part one. I suggest lower level students do this. You can also highlight the words that are synonyms or paraphrases so you can see your vocabulary and see if you're repeating keywords too much. All right, so let's actually practice the part one topics now. We're just going to do one for demonstration purpose. I'm going to do the topic social media. So what you want is some way of timing yourself so you don't have to look at a watch or anything. You want to be giving 30-second answers. So I have the timer set up here for 30 seconds. I'm just going to read the question, press the timer, and then give my best answer. It's recording on the video that you're watching, so if you're doing it on your own, record yourself some other way. Let's go. Here we go. What do people often do on social media? They do a variety of things, from checking out the latest story in the news to messaging their family and friends, and other than that, they're probably just posting pictures of videos of themselves from their latest trip or something that they did on the weekend. So yeah, those are probably the most common things people do, and I think messaging friends is probably up there in the top 3. Okay, so it was okay. It's long enough, not perfect. I could do better, for sure. Next one. Do your friends use social media? Yeah, for sure. Pretty much everyone I know and their mom has been on social media back since my uni days. And although I'm not in good touch with most of those people today, I'm quite confident that most of them are either on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or some other form of social media, and they're just using it to stay up to date with trends and friends and things like that. Okay, next one. Do you think you spend too much time on social media? Generally speaking, I don't. I cut social media out of my life about 5 or 6 years ago because I thought it was having somewhat of a toxic influence on me. Although there is one exception, it's when I'm working on my social media myself for teaching purposes, and then I have to be on Little Red Book and YouTube and Bilibili and checking out the trends and what I should do or what other people in my sector are doing. Okay, and last question. When did you start using social media? I got into it way back in university. I remember Facebook was the first form of social media that I signed up for, and I still have it today, although I don't really use it anymore. Other than that, I looked at Instagram and Twitter briefly, but yeah, it really started back in my uni days. And after university ended, I kind of drifted away from it as I began to think it was less and less useful. So yeah. Okay. So there we go. I've practiced all 4 of the part 1 topics. Now let's go get the transcripts and look how I did. All right, guys. So this is the last step in practicing part 1. We did the vocab, we did the scripting. I've recorded myself, and then I got the transcripts, and I'm just going to review them and see, are there any areas that I can improve? Okay. And just a quick note, how I do that, I have an app called CapCut. I think there's a Chinese equivalent also, and you just upload your audio in here and you can get the transcript, okay? So let's look at my answers and see how they work. What do people often do on social media? I said, they do a variety of things, from checking out the latest story in the news to messaging their friends, family and friends, and other than that, they probably just posting. I think this was there. This is probably a mistake from CapCut. They're probably just posting pictures, or this is not of, I said, or videos of themselves from their latest trips, or something like that they did on the weekend. So yeah, those are probably the most common things people do. And I think messaging friends is probably up there in the top 3. It's okay. It's not amazing. I don't like this part where I said, so yeah, those are probably the most common things people do. I'm kind of repetitive a bit, but overall it's okay. It's extended, it's detailed. I used listing here, and while it's not perfect, it turned out pretty good. Let's look at the next one. Do your friends use social media? I said, yeah, for sure. Pretty much everyone I know and their mom has been on social media back since my uni days. And although I'm not in good touch with most of those people, today I'm quite confident that most of them are on either Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or some other form of social media that they're just using to stay up to date with trends and friends and things like that. So it was quite an extended answer. It was detailed. This one was, I'm pretty happy with it overall. I had some nice expressions. I said everyone and their mom. I said sit back since my uni days. So yeah, this one's pretty good. I'm happy with this one overall. The next one was, do you think you spend too much time on social media? This one I remember I used my flip-flop strategy, so I said no, I don't, but then I made an exception. So let's look at it. Generally speaking, I don't. I cut out social media out of my life about 5 or 6 years ago because I thought it was having this was somewhat, it's not someone, this is a mistake from the program, of a toxic influence on me. Although there's one exception, it's when I'm working on my social media myself for teaching purposes, and then I have to be on Little Red Book and YouTube and Bilibili checking out the trends, what I should do or what other people in my sector are doing. So here I use the flip-flop. Again, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm using lots of vocabulary related to the subject, different platforms. I'm pretty happy with the vocab. No real grammar problems here. And then the last one, I think, yeah. When did you start using social media? I said, I got into it way back in university. I remember Facebook was the first form of social media that I signed up for. I think I said platform. I don't think it was form. And I still have it today. This is a small mistake. I should say I still use it today. It's not my possession. Although I don't really use it anymore. Other than that, I looked at Instagram and Twitter briefly, but yeah, it really started back in my uni days after university ended. I kind of drifted away from it. As I begin, I made a grammar mistake here in my audio, and I corrected myself. I began to think it was less and less useful. So, I mean, on the whole, these part one answers are relatively good. I have a nice variety of vocabulary. I'm not overly repetitive with keywords. I do have some small mistakes. I'm human. I'm making mistakes. It's okay. What I would do after you review your own answers is choose one or two big things that you don't like. Maybe you're making tons of past tense verb mistakes, or maybe you're repetitive with keywords too much, or maybe your answers are too short. So choose one weakness and then re-record the same topic and try to improve on that weakness. And that's it, so that's the process. You work on your vocab, script out your answers, record yourself, and then review it and pick one thing to improve upon, and then re-record yourself again, same topic. So that's it, guys. I hope you found this useful. I'll be releasing a part 2 topic. How to practice part 2 of the IELTS speaking exam on Sunday. So look out for that, and keep practicing. And if you found this useful, please subscribe, please like, please share it with other friends who are doing the IELTS exam. It really helps me stay motivated to make more social media content for you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.